Hi, friends. I'm Mrs. Vanderlaan. I'm one of the first grade teachers here. And before we get started reading today's chapters, I have a joke for you. What do you get when you cross a cocker spaniel, a poodle, and a rooster? So, what do you get when you cross a cocker spaniel, a poodle, and a rooster? You ready? A cocker poodle do. Okay, so today we're reading from our book Pet War. We're reading chapter 10 and 11. Chapter 10, Friday, March 9th, money saved $45.06. Lexi's sign still hung from the school halls, taunting me. Their glitter reflected off the fluorescent ceiling lights like a million sparkling diamond specks of mockery. I stared at a sign featuring a worm with glasses. Be a bookworm, the sign jeered. I wanted to squash it, although I hated to admit the worm was pretty cute. That stinks, I growled to Malcolm as we stared at the revolting tutoring sign. I should tutor kids for money. Malcolm laughed. Supply and demand. No one's demanding your tutoring, and you couldn't supply it anyway. Sure, I could. Who would pay you to tutor? Lots of people, I huffed. Name one. Well, okay. I couldn't name anybody. She can't win. I'll never hear the end of it. She'll brag about Fluffernutter the rest of her lives. You'll try your best, and Malcolm didn't get it. I cut him off. No, trying isn't good enough. I have to win. I have to do more than win. I have to demolish her. Don't you understand? This is payback for all the time. This is payback time for all the terrible things she's done. Like what? Mumbled Malcolm. I sensed skepticism in his voice. Like being born before me and being smart. 2 months ago, Mom said, "Why can't you get good grades like your sister?" Well, maybe I don't want good grades. Malcolm blinked. Why wouldn't you want good grades? That's not the point, I raged. Don't you see? There's a lifetime of wrongs here. Grades are just the tip of the iceberg with Miss I'm more perfect than you. I have to put her in her place, show her who's boss. Malcolm shook his head. I thought this was about getting a dog. Well, that too. As I tromped into language arts class, I overheard Mr. Corgi talking to Noah Grum. Noah was a grade level ahead of me. He was tall and played basketball. He didn't seem like the smartest guy in the school, though. He always walked around with his mouth open. It's hard to look intelligent if you walk around with your mouth open. Plus, flies can swarm inside, or drool can dribble down your chin. It's hard to look smart with drool on you, too. You should call Lexi for help, suggested Mr. Corgi. Her phone number is on those terrific signs in the hallway. Aw, thanks a bunch, Mr. Corgi, Noah beamed, wiping his chin. Lexi is a great student, Mr. Corgi added. She'll help you a lot. I was sick of hearing about Miss Perfect Student everywhere I went. I grabbed Noah's arm. She can't help, I blabbered. She's too busy. She's closed her business. She broke her arm. She's very sick, and she can't get out of bed. I saw her in the hallway 5 minutes ago, said Noah. Well, her illness was very sudden, I explained. I'm not sure if Noah was convinced, but much, much worse, my own teachers were recommending Lexi. Mr. Corgi, who had the last name of a dog for heaven's sake, was helping my sister get a cat. It was hard enough living up to little Miss can't do anything wrong all day, but now this? I sat down in my seat with an angry plop. The conversation repeated itself in my head all day, too. You should call Lexi for help. Lexi is a great student. Cheer up, said Malcolm at lunchtime. You're not the one facing a life with a fluffernutter, I moaned, removing the lettuce from my turkey sandwich. Mom insists on adding lettuce to my sandwich every day, and every day I remove it. What if Lexi came down with a terrible disease? I added. No one would hire her then. Like what? Scoffed Malcolm. Annoying sisteritis? Malcolm rolled his eyes. It's all about supply and demand, remember? You just have to figure out what you can supply. Malcolm pointed to the lettuce lying on the table. You're like that. Unwanted, no demand. A worn out, a dried up piece of wilting lettuce. A senseless sprig of parsley. If this is your idea of a pep talk, you're not very good at it. Malcolm just shrugged. But you're right, I am parsley, I whimpered. That's exactly what I am. I can't tutor. I can't carry grocery bags. I can't throw a telethon. I ripped a bite off my sandwich, pretending it was Lexi's head. I chewed it extra hard, but I didn't feel any better. I just felt worthless. You're good at stuff, said Malcolm. I stared at him and scratched my chin. Then I scratched some more. I'm drawing a blank here. You're good at soccer. Was good, I moaned. You're just rusty. You're a good friend. I rolled my eyes. Great. You want to pay me $500? And you're a pretty good writer. You got an A on that social studies report about igloos last month. I got a B, and you wrote half of it. I thought everyone got an A on that social studies report. As long as it was 5 pages, you got an A. I only wrote 4 pages. There just isn't that much to say about igloos. I ripped off another chunk of turkey sandwich and munched unhappily. You're going to win. You're going to earn that money, said Malcolm. Then how? I waited for Malcolm to answer, but he didn't. Back at home, I felt as depressed as a leaky bike tire. Mom was at work. Lexi was tutoring in the kitchen. I needed air. I grabbed my bike and rode downtown. Maybe I'd find a new help wanted sign. I'd do anything at this point, even a job as a horseradish taster. I found 2 help wanted signs, but I didn't have my own car, so I couldn't be a pizza delivery guy, and I wasn't going to step foot inside the beauty salon in case someone from school saw me. There was no way I would ever live that down. I even looked into a couple of trash cans for returnable bottles, but I found nothing. I dragged myself into the U-Pecha pet store. They didn't have a help wanted sign out front, but I asked the manager if he had any odd jobs. He didn't. I told him that if he paid me $500 right then and there, I'd work for free for the rest of my natural born life. He still wasn't interested. That seemed like a pretty good offer to me. But I didn't leave. I trudged past the bird cages and the fish supplies, past the lizards and cat toys, all the way to the back where they kept the dogs. They sat in stacked cages behind a big glass wall in a small enclosed carpeted room. If you asked, you could play with the dog for a few minutes before you bought one. There were 8 cages, 5 with dogs and 3 empty ones. That meant 3 newly adopted dogs. Somewhere, 3 families happily played fetch and rolled around meadows that weren't imaginary. But not me. All the dogs here were puppies, a boxer, a dachshund, a border collie, and 2 golden retrievers. I focused on the golden retrievers. They reminded me of younger alfalfas with their light brown hair. That just made me sadder. I wondered how Alfalfa was doing. Was he happy? Had he made any doggy friends? Did anyone know which ear he liked scratched best and how long he liked his tummy rubbed? Probably not, poor guy. One of those retrievers in the cage jumped around, tongue out, excited. Just looking at it made you smile. It would be impossible to feel sad with a dog like that jumping around on you all day long. The other retriever sat in its cage way in the back. This dog didn't move, and it kept its head buried in its paws. But I could see its eyes peeking out, looking at me. This was a sneaky fellow. Can I see that one, please? I asked. His name's Thumper, said the pet store girl, a teenager with a pierced lip, a pierced eyebrow, and orange streaks in her hair. She unlocked the cage. He doesn't really do much, she exclaimed. He's kind of a dud. I sat on the ground and she handed Thumper to me. He didn't move, but snuck peeks between his flaps of fur. His sister Marta was a lot more fun, said Miss Orange Hair, gesturing to the other golden retriever still bouncing around. Thumper's not a dud, I said. He's just sad. I stroked his golden fur and scratched his right ear. He seemed to like that, because he closed his eyes and squirmed into my lap a little deeper. I continued rubbing and scratching. You'd be sad, too, if your sister got the attention all day. She probably gets straight A's in school, and he always feels like he's second best. Right, boy? Thumper wiggled a little bit tighter into my legs. You'd be a lot happier if your teacher stopped comparing you to your sister all the time. And if your sister caught a disease and couldn't tutor anyone. Nothing too horrible, just that one that would keep her in bed for a few weeks. I bet your sister wants a cat, too, right? Thumper yawned. I'm not sure if I made him feel better, but he made me feel better. There were a lot of great kinds of dogs, but dogs that sat quietly and made you feel better were probably the best kinds of all. You know what you need, boy? I said to Thumper, staring into his dark eyes, which never seemed to blink. You just need to figure out what you're good at. That's all. Then you'd show everyone you're better than your sister at something. You're sort of weird, kid, said the pet store worker. I bet she's a cat lover, I whispered into Thumper's ear. And she has orange hair. So really, who's the weird one? Thumper nodded. I'm sure of it. I sat with Thumper for a while until the pet store girl told me if I wasn't buying Thumper, she needed to put him away. I gave Thumper a goodbye scratch and handed him to Miss Orange Hair. But I felt better. The scent of dog remained on my hands even after I got home. I love that wonderful, rugged puppy smell. If I could sell dog smell, I'd be so rich I could buy 1,000,000 dogs. But I didn't need 1,000,000 dogs. I just needed one. I needed a dog playing peekaboo under his paws, shyly pretending not to look at me as he wiggled in my lap. I felt low all night, especially because Lexi sat in the kitchen hour after hour tutoring. When Noah Grum entered the house, I groaned. It was just another reminder of my teachers working against me. I sat on the couch trying to think of ideas, but my mind was empty. All my ideas were locked in a cage like a pet store dog. I stared at my notebook. The pages remained empty. When Noah finally left, Lexi sat down on the couch next to me. I shot her 2 evil eyes. I could tutor you on how to make money. She giggled. I know how to make money. I snapped. It's all about supply and demand. I'm in a lot of demand. Yes, everyone wants to hire worthless baby brothers. I'm not a baby, I grumbled, and this isn't over. Thumper understands. He won't let Marta beat him, and I won't let you. Baby brother, I have no idea what you're talking about. Lexi leaned back on the cushions. Where do you think we should put Fluffernutter's litter box? She pointed to the corner of the room. Over there? I felt my face turning red with anger. I don't hear any purring in this house yet. Then you must not be listening. Shh. Hear that? I stiffened. Had she already bought a cat? Yet I can practically hear Fluffernutter's soft, mellow meowing as she licks her milk from her bowl. So she didn't have a cat. Not yet. Relieved, but annoyed. I jumped up. Yeah? I stammered. Well, I'll lick you. Gross, you're not licking me. I mean, in our money battle, I wouldn't actually lick you. I admitted. That's disgusting. You're disgusting. You are. You are a disgusting, flea-bitten, catnip, craving furball freak, I shouted. Where was Malcolm when I finally came up with a great insult? It didn't faze Lexi, though. She laughed. Even if I were a catnip craving freak, I also happen to be crushing you at earning money. So you know what that makes you? I shrugged. Losing! Lexi was laughing so hard she had to hold her stomach. I marched upstairs, but her laughter lingered in my ears for so long I eventually needed to use a Q-tip to get it out. Chapter 11. Saturday, March 10th. Money saved, $45.06. Welcome to Chateau Dad, Dad announced as we dropped our bags on the floor of his apartment. That's what he said every time we came over. We just rolled our eyes. Ever since my parents had split up a couple of years earlier, we stayed with Mom during the week and with Dad every other weekend. He only lived about 2 miles away, but it felt like going to another planet. His place was completely different from Mom's house. He was sort of a slob, and he couldn't cook and never had anything good to eat in the pantry, and his apartment was really small, and there was no yard to play in or other kids around. But I was still excited to come over because he loved dogs, and we still needed Dad to agree to our challenge. He wanted a dog growing up, he told me that once. So I knew he'd be on my side. If he hated cats, this contest would be over before I had saved very much money at all. I just needed to get on Dad's good side before we laid the news on him. I wasn't repeating the same mistake I made with Mom. I needed to sweet talk him first. I love what you've done with the place, Dad. Is that a new sofa? No, said Dad, scratching his head. It's the same old worn-out couch that was in our basement for years. The same couch you've always hated because you say it smells like peas. I like the smell of peas now, I said. Not really. The place looks really nice. Thanks, I guess, said Dad. He didn't have a lot of furniture. The main room had a television, a recliner, a couch, and one plant, a cactus. Lexi and I had brought him a fern when he first moved, but he never watered it, so it died. The next 4 plants we bought him died too. Lexi finally bought him a cactus because those hardly ever need to be watered. It still didn't look very good. Obviously, Dad wasn't a plant guy. The sink in the kitchen was filled with dirty dishes. There was some sort of green, blobby stain on the carpet that wasn't there the last time we were here, too. And yes, the couch smelled like peas. It just needs a woman's touch, said Lexi with a smile. I'll clean it up for you. It'll look like new. No, I'll clean it up, I insisted. I couldn't let Lexi get the upper hand like usual, not this time. I will, growled Lexi. We'll see about that, I growled right back. Okay, baby brother. I'm not a baby, I yelped. Lexi grabbed the glass cleaner before I could, but I found some rags in Dad's closet for cleaning. There was plenty to dust. I doubt Dad had ever given the apartment a thorough cleaning before. It was important that I did an excellent job, better than Lexi did. So I removed the books from the bookshelf. He only had 2 books, so it wasn't that hard. And I dusted the picture frames. One of the picture frames had a picture of Lexi and me, and the other 2 still held the smiling couples that come with the frame when you buy it from the store. I even dusted the baseboards and the blinds, and no one ever does those. I don't even think Mom dusts those at our house. The kitchen looks great, Lexi, Dad said from the other room. I dusted the baseboards and the blinds, I yelled from the hallway, and no one ever does those, not even Mom. Wonderful, thank you. Dad craned his neck to look. But why are you dusting them with one of my best neckties? His voice growled. I thought they were rags, I mumbled. They were in your hall, in your closet. They're my neckties for the office. They fall off the hanger a lot. Oh, I said, sorry. Dad showed me where he kept his rags, both of them, and I finished the few remaining dust spots. His ties weren't ruined, they were just dusty. But I apologized like a million times, too. I still needed to make up for my mistake. I was supposed to be buttering him up after all. So I offered to vacuum the apartment twice. The second time, just in case I missed something. I don't own a vacuum, said Dad. So I didn't vacuum. But I promised myself to never walk around on my bare feet at Dad's place again, or anymore. The bathroom needed cleaning. Lexi grabbed the disinfectant first. That was fine with me. I didn't really want to clean the toilet anyway, but I bagged Dad's garbage and straightened out a silverware drawer to keep busy. Dad seemed to be enjoying all of our work. He kept walking around, nodding his head and thanking us. Eventually, he just sat on his recliner and read a magazine. His apartment had never been this clean before. I doubt any apartment in the history of apartments had ever been this clean. I sat on the couch, tired. Lexi was finishing up the bathroom. So why the sudden interest in housekeeping? Dad asked. No reason at all, I sang. Just love you. Dad said in return, I love. But before he could finish, Lexi rushed into the room and leapt on the seat cushion next to mine. Your bathroom is as good as new, she shouted. Anything else done? Okay, what's going on? Asked Dad, his eyes suspicious slits. You guys don't do anything nice without a reason. Last year, Otto ironed my clothes because he wanted to go to the water park. He shook his head and frowned. I said I was sorry, I squeaked. I didn't know the iron would burn through your shirt. That's why you never leave an iron on top of clothes while you watch television. But there was a really good show on TV, so it wasn't completely my fault. Blame the cable TV guys. I talked to one recently. Honestly, they don't seem very bright. That's okay, said Dad. It's water under the bridge. But I know you two want something. What is it? Why do you think we want something? Remarked Lexi with a fake, innocent smile. You look really handsome today, Dad. Dad picked a crust of food off his t-shirt. Hey, I have an idea, I exclaimed. I should get a dog. I have a better idea, exclaimed Lexi. I should get a cat. Cats are boring, I said. They spend their days licking themselves and ignoring you. They don't play fetch. They don't do tricks. Man's best friend is a dog, and Dad is a man, so that means dogs are his best friend. When Dad was a kid, he wanted a dog, right? Dad nodded. He looked out the window as if remembering those long-lost dog-wanting days. Grandma and Grandpa said a dog was too hard to take care of. I begged and begged. They always said no. Grandpa and Grandma sure are smart, crowed Lexi. That's because they're older and wiser. Always listen to your elders. I bet they'd both agree that a cat is the best pet ever. They are much easier to take care of and twice as smart, and they don't smell like dogs do. They don't smell like dogs do. They smell better than you, I chirped him. It's perfume, she whined. You smell worse than Dad's couch. Dad threw me a dirty look. Not that your couch smells bad, Dad, I fidgeted. I like peas. I took a deep breath of the seat cushion behind me. Great! I stifled a cough and a wheeze. You guys want pets? Asked Dad. We nodded. Ask your mother. We did already, exclaimed explained Lexi, and we're having a contest to see who can earn money the fastest. But Mom said we needed your permission too. I'll bring my cat with me when we come to stay. No, I'll bring my dog. I threw Lexi a dirty look. I see, murmured Dad. He scratched his chin. He examined his cuticles. I might agree to your owning a pet, maybe. Not sure. I need more convincing. I'll take care of the dog, I promised. I'll take it on walks and feed it and everything. You'll love a cat, insisted Lexi. I made some charts at home. I can show you. They make good mousers, you know. They cost less than dogs, too. And there's that smell thing. I opened my mouth to say something before I could. Lexi screeched, It's perfume! Both are good arguments, said Dad. But my laundry really needs to be done and my shoes need to be polished. You'd think someone had lit the couch on fire the way Lexi and I bounced up, and honestly, the couch should have been set on fire years ago to get rid of that pee smell. But I snapped up Dad's shoes from his closet while Lexi grabbed the laundry basket. Dad's totally going to let us get a pet, said Lexi as we passed in the hallway. I nodded. Yeah, he's just milking this. Like the time we wanted to go to the movies and he made us wash his car first. Except I couldn't find the car wash liquid, so I used his shampoo. At least the car didn't get dandruff, said Lexi with a loud snort. I couldn't help but laugh, too. But a few chores is a small price to pay for a cat. You mean a dog. A cat. No way, I snarled out of the side of my mouth. You might as well surrender. You don't have a chance. A lot better chance than you, she snarled back, but my snarl was snarlier. How much money have you saved? Plenty. I'm up to my eyeballs in money. You must have eyeballs on your toes. We're getting a dog, I hissed. We're getting a cat, she squawked back, turning around and marching out the hallway with Dad's laundry. But I'd show her. I'd make Dad's shoes so shiny he'd buy a dog on the spot. I found the shoe polish kit he kept in a plastic bag in the back of his closet and got to work. Dad showed me last year how to polish his shoes, so I knew what I was doing. I didn't use his neckties either, but the shoe polishing cloth he kept in the bag, I wasn't making any mistakes at this time. I was a natural-born shoe polisher. I wonder what sort of money shoe polishers made. I can open up a shoe shine stand. Except you only see those at the airport, and the airport was way too far away to ride my bike. While I was on his second pair of loafers, Dad stood over me supervising. Look at that shine! I beamed, hoisting them up. I think we should get a dog, Dad mused, nodding. Maybe. But you missed a spot right there. I scrubbed the side of his shoes again. Better? But I still need convincing. Polish the other 3 pairs and we'll talk about getting a dog. Or a cat, right, Dad? Screamed Lexi from the hallway. Yes, or a cat, Dad hollered back. If your mom thinks it's a good idea, then I guess I'm fine with it. He pointed to the shoe I was holding. But only if those shoes are shiny. So shiny I can see my reflection in them. Yes, sir. I smeared a glob of shoe polish onto another shoe. By the way, I charge $100 a shoe, Dad growled. Just kidding, I quickly added. Not really. For a moment I thought I had stumbled on a brilliant idea. But of course, Dad would agree to a pet. I continued rubbing in shoe polish just in case. Polishing shoes wasn't getting me any closer to earning money, though. I could see my reflection in his shoes, and I saw a future dog owner smiling back at me.